have to get your opinion on this, because I hear a lot of people saying that Musk is this guy that's going to restore free speech. You know, isn't he an agent of these intelligence agencies? Because you can't get that rich and can't get that powerful without them giving the okay to that.
Yeah, I don't trust Musk at all. I don't want to be like, I'm a realist in the sense that I believe that you can be a very rich person in a corrupt system and still maintain your conscience and be a human. I believe that. But to be the richest man or the second richest man in this level of a corrupt system and somehow be an authentic person, I don't believe that. There's so many things about Musk which cause me to shudder. Yeah, look, okay, I guess in a brushstroke way, some elements that cause me grave concern is his ideological commitment to transhumanism, which for me, that's like super toxic elitist religion. He believes that human beings must merge with machinery in order to stay relevant, or else he believes that the self-conscious AI will necessarily replace us in a Darwinian evolution, as does Peter Thiel, who also wrote a paper called The Revenge of the Straussians. He's a Straussian. He believes in Leo Strauss's doctrines. Leo Strauss was very closely affiliated with the Frankfurt School that was brought in to the United States, especially, and empowered especially under Allen Dulles of the CIA to shape our Western education systems or misshape them. Peter Thiel is a transhumanist, but where the conservatives would typically be disgusted and repulsed by the transhumanist narrative when it's spoken aloud by people like a Yuval Harari, they're disgusted by that. They become very soft and all of a sudden super susceptible to accepting it when it's given to them by a figure like a Peter Thiel or an Elon Musk. Musk is somebody who I don't think is a real person. I think he's a human being biologically, but I think his mind is just like Thiel. I see somebody who's of the similar quality of mental state as like a Justin Trudeau, who's coached, who has handlers, who is brought into, who's trained to have human emotions, or to fake human emotions in public, or to say certain logistical syllogisms that might be catchy when they're in public or in an interview, or let's say hosting a show, but never permitted to go out into a hostile environment that is not very controlled. They're not allowed to go out in areas where they won't be around people who worship them. And Musk has also shown himself to be a promoter of regime change. I've followed what he's been doing to try to promote a libertarian version of regime change against Maduro in Venezuela, his support for Milei and Milei's break from the BRICS, and destruction of the Argentinian economy by doing exactly what Pinochet did back in Chile in the 1970s. That's what Milei is doing. He's just privatizing everything. It's not all that revolutionary. He's just using like an anti-woke language, which Christians get very soft on and they find very like attractive. But then if you look at everything he's doing economically, it's all the same stuff that the fascists, the Nazi-sponsored fascists like Pinochet were doing in Latin America to privatize the economy and open it up to the free markets on behalf of those, IMF, World Bank interests and Bilderberger interests that Peter Thiel is a member of. He's on the steering committee of the Bilderberger Group. Who again, Thiel and Musk, they co-create. They're two assets who were brought up in a Silicon Valley environment. Both have shady backgrounds. They both work together to create PayPal and X, which is tied to PayPal. Both of them in the 90s. And, Elon Musk, look at his grandfather, Joshua Haldeman, like how could you look at that and think, okay, that has nothing to do with Elon Musk. Who is Joshua Haldeman? Joshua Haldeman is the founder of the Technocracy Party of Canada. Like it was a party that wanted to overthrow the entire political system of nation states and create a one world government of scientific engineers. They were very eugenics leaning. That's what the Technocracy Party was. Technocracy Inc. And before that, Joshua Haldeman was the founder of the Saskatchewan Cooperative Commonwealth Federation in 1933. That's the Fabian Society branch in Canada. That's the Fabian Society of Canada of 1933. This guy was working with 5 Rhodes Scholars from Oxford who set up the Canadian Fabian Society that had a political branch that became later on the NDP. But before that, it was the Cooperative Commonwealth Federation. And then when that wasn't getting off the ground, he went and created the Technocracy Party, and then he created the Social Credit Party of Saskatchewan. He was the president of it. And then what does he do? What does he do after he goes to jail for being on the wrong side of World War II? He gets out of jail, and then what does he do? He goes to the most freedom-loving place on earth that he loves and lives out his life, South Africa, apartheid South Africa. And that's where he becomes like one of the rich white elitists whose son ends up, like his daughter becomes May, the supermodel weird witch who's got some strange occult proclivities, who ends up dating this other dude who's Errol Musk, who's like owns a giant emerald mine, super rich people who are like bankrolling their kid, who ends up like coming to Canada, meeting some weird people, getting sent up to Sanford. And then all of a sudden now he's like a multimillionaire after coming up with some ideas that weren't even his own. Like from everybody who worked with him from his earliest startup companies in the late 90s, they all have the same messaging that he was incompetent. He couldn't come up with even his own code. All of the code he tried to do had to be rewritten by others who were brought in. It strikes me that this type of personality type is a useful cardboard cutout, as like a Bill Gates, whose father was also Bill Gates Sr., right? A close associate of David Rockefeller and the president of Planned Parenthood, a major driver of the depopulation lobby. His mother also had some weird ties to AT&T, not AT&T, yeah, AT&T, no, IBM, and they just had a bad reputation, IBM, of being the thing that was working with the Nazis and overseeing the infrastructure for the concentration camps. And they had that reputation in the 60s and the 70s, and people didn't feel comfortable bringing like home-based computing systems into their homes because they were so closely tied to the Nazis. So what do they have to do? Well, find a little cardboard cutout kid whose life would be pre-programmed to be the front man, who would be given a story about how he's a genius who just like generated operating systems in his garage. And then we'll call it, Microsoft. And people will bring that into their house. They'll trust Microsoft. They'll trust these things. So that's what they did, And so now we have Microsoft that everybody has in their house and on their phones and everywhere else. That's also pushing for virus controls and creating viruses that they put into our operating systems that they then introduce the solution, right? The antivirus to control viruses that they put out in the 90s into our computers. I'm not talking about anything else, so no need to censor this video if anybody might be watching. I'm talking about computers, computer viruses. You know what I'm saying, right? So, yeah, I don't trust Elon Musk.
Do you believe that Facebook, Zuckerberg, Elon Musk and all, they have to be connected with the intelligence agencies in order for them to build up these corporations, and all of them have pretty much the same story. They stole other people's ideas and they were elevated to huge success off the back of other people to become these billionaires. Do you believe that they're pushed by the intelligence agencies?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Okay, we're going to close out on that note. We're going to close out on that note. Matthew, thank you so much, man, for giving me. It was only supposed to be 30 minutes, and you gave me almost triple that, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh, Rasheed, it's a pleasure with you, man. I don't mind doing this at all. I could have gone on for 2 hours. This is fun.
Hey, man, thank you so much for joining me. We got to do this again, man, when we have both of us have some time for it, man. Hey, be blessed.
Anytime.
And be safe.
You too. Bye.